Hi, I thought I would do some reading tonight. Haven't been really good about keeping up on that. I am on chapter 4 of Walk in the Light series, Restoration by Todd Bennett. And as always, I am slow, I stumble, I stutter, I stammer, and I do not pronounce words right, even though I will try to look them up. Anyway, so I am continuing chapter 4, and it was on paganism and different gods. So, let's get going. The similarities between Roman and Greek mythology is a vivid example of the common roots of Babylonian worship that undergird and nourish many modern religious systems. The subject of pagan cultures and history is far too vast of a topic to fully address in one chapter, or even an entire book for that matter. So all we can do at this juncture is generalize. As you begin to examine history with this understanding, you will begin to connect the dots and see the common thread which traces back to Babylon. After the scattering of Babel, Yahweh began to call out a people who would choose to love and obey him. In Bereshit 11, we read that Abraham, a descendant of Shem, was called out of the land of Ur, which is in southern Babylon, to Haran. Both of these regions were known to worship Sin, the moon god. Abraham later moved his family to the land of Canaan, whose principal deities were Baal, El, and Esther. He lived his life surrounded by pagans and was the first person who was called a Hebrew. The word Hebrew is IVRI and literally means crossover. Now, I do tell people that I am Hebrew since I have changed my belief system, and I have also been baptized, and it's called something else, in the river when I went to, well, actually I did it twice, but I did it when I went to the Feast of Tabernacle, which was really cool. And someday I hope that I can go again. I so enjoyed it, and there were such awesome people. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. So anyway, Abraham, who was later renamed Abram, which was later renamed Abraham, was called a Hebrew because he crossed over the river. He was a southerner who was different from those who lived in the land that he traveled. He and his household served and obeyed Yahweh, and he and his seed were directly identified with Yahweh. In fact, Yahweh is often described as the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Isaac. It was through this lineage that Yahweh would work his plan of restoration through his covenants. The seed of Abraham would become a set-apart people who were to be a kingdom of priests that would shine a light to all the other nations which were not serving Yahweh. Thus, the distinction between Israel, the seed of Abraham, the Hebrew, and the Gentiles, Israel represented the set-apart assembly that served Yahweh, and the Gentiles referred to all of the other nations of the world that did not serve Yahweh. According to the scriptures, Israel conquered the land of the Canaanites, which was not only filled with giants, but also those who worshiped pagan deities. Israel was instructed not to worship the gods of the people they conquered. they were also commanded not to worship Yahweh in the manner that their pagan neighbors worship their gods. When Yahweh, your Elohim, cuts off from before you the nation which you go to dispose, and you display them and dwell in their land, take heed to yourself that you are not ensnared to follow them after they are destroyed from before you, and that you do not inquire after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? I also will do likewise. You shall not worship Yahweh your Elohim in that way. For every abomination to Yahweh which he hates, they have done to their gods, for they burn even their sons and daughters in the fire to their gods. Whatever I command of you, be careful to observe it. You shall not add to nor take away from it. Deuteronomy 12:29 through 32. And I have watched a few videos about, it goes way back. There are videos, historic documentaries and stuff on how people did serve up newborn babies to the gods. And if I can find it, there was a clip that I saw because they built this monument, and actually it was Baal, and it actually had like a scoop, and it was on his hands. I can't say that. It was on his hands, and they would put the baby in the hands of this thing, and it would actually go up, and it would put the baby into the fire. It's really sick. I can't imagine these people. And technically they say that even today, people don't know it. Women that have abortions don't realize that they're actually making an infant sacrifice to the evil one. They just don't realize what they're doing. And it's really deep, and it's really sad, and it's horrific, the things that people are doing to babies and young children. And you hear all kinds of stuff. Just for instance, there's a story that's going around the internet about a father who's trying to save his 7-year-old son, and I'll try to link it, because the mother wants her son to be a girl, wants to have him castrated, and the father took her to court. He's trying to save his son. The mom has brainwashed the son. He's 7 years old, and he's a child, and she's inflicting her wishes. Did she want a daughter that bad that she's inflicting this on her son? And I'm appalled at the courts that they went against the father, who's just trying to save his kid from being subjected to hormone treatments and castration and all these different things that are dangerous. It's insane. I'll try to find that. It's all over the internet. You can find it. If you look up 7-year-old boy being forced to be a girl, I'm sure you'll find it, but I'll see if I can't find a link. And it's sad. And also that I forgot what they call him. He's a trans child. But when you listen to the story, the mother was conditioning in him from the get-go, because she wanted the recognition. She wanted him to be able to bring in money. It's all about her. Had nothing to do with the child. She conditioned him to want to be what she chose for him to be. When you do that to a child, you warp their minds. They're like little sponges. You can mold them to do almost anything you want, and it's just so freaking sad that they can't be raised normally and nurtured just with love to be who they are. And I don't know. It's just, the world we live in is just so backwards and upside down and crazy, and it's not getting any better. But anyway, I do want to keep this short. I am going to stop there, and I'll try to do more and just keep them really short. Chapter 4 is a little bit on the longer side, and anyway, I was just looking at my notes. It's more of a diary and different things that I wrote. So, yeah, which is pretty cool. It was a while ago, in 2015, I started reading this, and I never did finish. Maybe now that I'm doing it online, I'll actually get this finished. So with that said, I will talk to you guys later, and I will do another one, and I will try to keep these short. You all have a good night. Yahweh bless.